なるほど、わかりましたよ。ここが地獄なのですね。
You know what's wild? We've been so busy arguing about whether Mushoku Tensei is problematic or if Konosuba is peak comedy that we've completely slept on some absolute bangers in the reincarnation genre. I'm talking shows that took the isekai formula, looked it dead in the eyes, and said, nah, we're doing something different. Here are the 10 underrated reincarnation anime gems you need to watch. Let's kick this off with a show that asks the question, what if God were petty and you were pettier? Saga of Tanya the Evil throws a sociopathic salaryman into the body of a little girl in a magical World War I because he pissed off God, or Being X as Tanya calls him. And this isn't your feel-good isekai, this is trench warfare, with explosions, tactical brutality, and a protagonist so ruthlessly pragmatic that she makes Light Yagami look like a humanitarian. The anime captures the manga's intensity with visceral aerial combat sequences and a protagonist who treats war like a corporate merger. Tanya isn't trying to make friends or build a harem, she's climbing the military ranks to give God the middle finger while bombs drop all around her. It's dark, morally complex, and proves that reincarnation stories can tackle weighty themes without losing its edge. If you want an isekai that respects your intelligence, this is it.
化け物です。
では戦友諸君、戦争の時間だ。
最優先にした結果だ。
自分の命と家族の命を守るために、私頑張るよ。
Picture this. You're a bibliophile who dies and gets reborn in a medieval world with almost no books. Sounds like hell, right? Well, that's a sentence of the bookworm in a nutshell. And it's shockingly beautiful. Mine isn't some overpowered hero. She's a sickly child in a poverty-stricken family who has to reinvent papermaking from scratch just to get her reading fix. I absolutely love how this anime treats its world building like a love letter. Every episode takes a look into the economics, social hierarchies, and craft techniques of this fantasy world. Watching mine experiment with medieval technology to create books feels like witnessing genuine innovation. The anime doesn't rush, it lets you sit with the small victories and heartbreaking setbacks. Mine's relationships with her family and the people that she meets are tender and earned, never forced. There's this quiet determination to her story that hits different. No flashy fights, just a girl who loves books so much that she'll change an entire world's literacy rate. It's cozy, it's thoughtful, and it proves that slice of life isekai can be just as gripping as any battle shonen.
本好きの下克上、漁師の幼女。
本当にめんどくさいな、君は。
新館長の意地悪。
永遠に俺とジャンケを裏切りはしないと全部お前自身が言ったんだ。
この先は自分で歩いてみます。この手で決着をつけないと全てが終わったら。
Alright, Donghua fans, rise up. The master of diabolism, or Modao Shushi if you're cultured, is what happens when Chinese animation decides to flex. Wei Wuxian, a legendary cultivator who pioneered demonic cultivation, gets resurrected years after his own death into a world that considers him a villain. The story unfolds through dual timelines, his controversial past and his mysterious present, slowly revealing why everyone fears him and hates him. The animation from MXTX Studios is gorgeous. Sword fights flow like choreographed dances, and the supernatural elements have this ethereal quality that Western animes sometimes lack. The emotional core is heavy. Wei Wuxian's relationship with Lan Wangji is layered, with unspoken devotion and tragedy that unfolds across decades. The mystery keeps you guessing, the action keeps you hooked, and the cultural richness, from cultivation systems to the traditional aesthetics, makes it feel distinct. It's densely plotted, beautifully animated, and proof that reincarnation stories transcend borders. Don't sleep on Donghua.
Hi! お待たせ!
Sometimes you don't need a grand destiny, you just need good food and a giant dog. Well, a legendary Fenrir wolf. Mukoda gets summoned to a fantasy world, but his only skill is an online grocery store from Japan. Instead of joining the hero's party, he says nah and decides to explore, cooking modern meals for magical creatures. This is the most wholesome power fantasy you'll ever experience. Fel, the legendary Fenrir wolf, becomes his familiar, purely because Mukoda's cooking is that incredible. The anime understands something fundamental. You don't need dramatic stakes to create investment. Watching Mukoda negotiate with merchants, experiment with fantasy ingredients, and accidentally tame godlike beasts through sheer culinary skill is endlessly satisfying. The food animation is mouth-watering. Every sizzle, every perfectly grilled texture makes you hungry. But beyond the food porn, there is genuine heart here. Mukoda isn't trying to save the world, he's just living his best life, and that sincerity is infectious. It's laid back, funny, and the perfect palate cleanser after way too many chosen one narratives. I oddly see a resemblance between Fel and my cat Fia. They have the same face when there's meat being cooked.
いいことも悪いことも含めて異世界旅だな。とんでもスキルで異世界放浪飯。
A guy becomes a sentient sword and partners with a cat-girl slave to become the ultimate adventuring duo. On paper, this sounds like peak isekai trash, and yet it works shockingly well. The anime nails the mentor-student dynamic between Sword Dad and Fran, giving their relationship genuine warmth without being creepy. Fran's backstory as a scorned Black Cat tribe member trying to prove her worth gives the story emotional stakes, and Sword Dad's protective instincts as a literal weapon who can't express emotions conveniently creates this unique narrative tension. The action is clean and satisfying, as watching Fran grow from a desperate slave into a confident warrior while wielding a talking sword that levels up alongside her hits that progression sweet spot. I was pleasantly surprised to see how the show handles trauma and recovery. Fran doesn't magically just get over her past, she works through it with Sword Dad's support. The world building is surprisingly detailed, with racial politics and adventurer guild mechanics that feel thought out. It's earnest, action-packed, and proves that even the weirdest premises can deliver if executed with care. If you're enjoying this video so far, please give it a like and consider subscribing to the channel if you're new here. It helps me and my team stay motivated making these amazing videos for you guys, so thank you.
負けたくない。強くならなきゃ。私にトラウマを刻んだこの場所であんたを倒し誇りを取り戻す。
Being reborn as a spider in a dungeon's lowest level sounds like a death sentence, and for the first dozen episodes, it actually is. Kumoko, our spider protagonist, spends every moment fighting for survival against monsters that could easily squash her. But here is what makes it special. Kumoko's internal monologue is chaotic, self-aware, and hilarious, turning what could be a grim survival story into a darkly comedic adventure. The anime juggles two timelines, Kumoko's dungeon crawl and her classmates' adventures as reincarnated humans, slowly revealing how these stories connect. The spider segments have this scrappy DIY energy where every skill Kumoko learns feels earned through near-death experiences. Yes, the CGI gets rough, but the creativity in depicting spider combat, webs, poison, trap setting makes up for it. Then the show drops its plot twists, and everything you thought you understood about this world shatters. The mystery of why they were reincarnated, the true nature of the world, and Kumoko's real identity elevate this beyond simple monster evolution. It's weird, ambitious, and rewards patience with some genuinely shocking revelations.
まだだ。最後まで、最後の瞬間まで諦めてやるもんか。
この国にはトゥアハーデが必要だ。
俺はアルバン王国の暗殺貴族トゥアハーデ男爵家に転生した。
What if John Wick got isekai'd and decided to actually plan things out? The world's finest assassin takes the professional killer archetype and drops him into a fantasy world with one mission: assassinate the hero before he destroys the world. Lug Tuatha Dé isn't your typical protagonist. He approaches magic and combat with the cold precision of someone who's killed for decades. The anime excels at showing his calculated approach. Every relationship he builds, every skill he masters, every piece of his plan clicks into place like a heist film. Lug genuinely cares about the people that he recruits. Dia and Tarte aren't just tools, they're family. Watching him struggle with his assassin instincts versus his growing humanity creates real tension. The action is sleek and tactical rather than flashy. When Luke kills, it's efficient and often brutal. The show doesn't shy away from the darker implications of his profession while making him sympathetic. It's a mature take on an isekai power fantasy that asks, what if your protagonist's greatest strength was also his greatest burden?
それで依頼の件だが、誰を殺してほしいのかね。
勇者を暗殺してください。
平穏が欲しかった。ただ、それだけなのに。
Reverse isekais get wild when the reincarnated person is a necromancer supervillain. Corpse God, defeated in his fantasy world, wakes up in modern-day Shinjuku inside of a teenager's body. Instead of a fish-out-of-water comedy, Dead Mount Deathplay pivots hard into urban supernatural crime thriller territory. The anime throws gang warfare, zombie resurrections, secret organizations, and body-swapping mysteries into a blender, and somehow makes it work. I was hooked on how Corpse God navigates modern society with fantasy logic, using necromancy to solve contemporary problems, creates these brilliantly absurd moments. The supporting cast is stacked too. Misaki the bug manipulator, Clarissa the immortal vampire, and Solitaire with her card-based powers all feel like they have their own complete backstories. The animation, when it wants to flex, delivers genuinely creepy and inventive death magic sequences. Plot threads weave together in unexpected ways, revealing connections between the fantasy world and Earth that'll make you rewatch entire earlier episodes. It's chaotic, unpredictable, and proof that Reincarnation anime doesn't need to follow the isekai playbook to be compelling. A legendary Three Kingdoms strategist dies and gets reincarnated in modern Shibuya. Instead of conquering nations, Zhuge Liang decides to use his tactical genius to make a random club singer famous. Ya boy Kong Ming is pure, unfiltered joy. The premise is absurd, but the execution is brilliant. Kong Ming applies actual historical strategies to navigate the cutthroat music industry, turning album promotions into military campaigns and rap battles into psychological warfare. Eiko's journey from a struggling artist to a rising star feels earned because Kong Ming doesn't just hand her success, his plans create opportunities that she seizes with her talent. The anime radiates this infectious optimism that's rare in modern shows. Every scheme that Kong Ming pulls off is both hilarious and clever, respecting both the source material of his historical tactics and the realities of music promotion. The soundtrack slaps, Eiko's performances are genuinely catchy, and watching crowds get hyped up to her music never stops being satisfying. It's wholesome, creative, and a reminder that reincarnation stories can be about lifting people up rather than defeating demon lords. This show will put a stupid grin on your face.
よし、やるっきゃない。精一杯歌おう。
我々と共に音楽にて天下太平を実現いたしましょう。
次はこちらの番だな。
Here's the one that flew completely under everyone's radar. Ryo, a corporate slave, drowns and gets reincarnated into a fantasy world with one simple blessing: unlimited water magic. No demon lord to defeat, no kingdom to save, just a guy who wants to travel, see the world, and maybe run a bathhouse. The water magician is startlingly serene in a genre obsessed with escalation. Ryo's journey across this fantasy world feels like actually adventuring. He meets people, he learns about different cultures, and solves problems with with creativity rather than violence. His water magic is versatile in ways that the show constantly surprises you with, creating ice weapons, healing with purified water, and even generating electricity. But the heart of this anime is how it treats kindness as strength. Riel helps people not because he's destined to, but because he can. The animation captures quiet moments beautifully. Sunsets over unfamiliar landscapes, the sound of water flowing, and the genuine smiles from strangers turned friends. There's no harem hijinks or forced drama, it's just a man living a life that he never could in his previous world. It's contemplative, genius, and the ultimate comfort watch. If you're burned out on isekai noise, this is your reset button.
ウォータージェット
Look, I get it. Reincarnation anime has become the fast food of the industry. Familiar, safe, sometimes satisfying, but ultimately forgettable. But these 10 shows prove that the genre still has stories worth telling when creators take risks. Whether it's tactical warfare, culinary adventures, or literal spiders grinding levels in dungeons, there's a variety here that deserves recognition. So next time that you're scrolling and wondering what to watch, give one of these a shot. You might just find your new favorite. Or don't, and keep on rewatching Overlord for the 5th time. I'm not your dad. But seriously, watch these. You won't regret it.